Good morning or good afternoon, however this video finds you. We're going to do geometry today. All right. We've got Unit 1, Lesson 18. Unit 1, Lesson 18, or maybe we'll call this 17b. I haven't decided. But yeah, it's the one after 17a. That's how we'll keep track of this. It's either 17b or we'll call it 18. Your learning target today. You should be able to say that you can identify complementary and supplementary angles and apply the meanings of supplementary and complementary angles to find missing angles. So again, we're carrying on with this idea that in geometry we sometimes have to find missing angles. Sometimes in life we have incomplete information and we need to extrapolate. We need to take the information we have and figure out what information might be missing. How do we take what we have and find new information, find missing information, find stuff that we didn't have right in the beginning? And we can do that fairly straightforwardly in geometry often. So you got these terms, complementary and supplementary. Let's look at what these are. So again, we have right angles and straight angles. These are very important in geometry and mathematics. When two angles are placed adjacent means next to. Adjacent means next to. When two angles are placed adjacent to one another, that is, this says i.e., it means that is to say, i.e., they have a common ray. They form either a 90-degree angle or a 100-degree angle. This angle pair is given a very special name. They should already be familiar to you. We've already played around with this idea. We had straight lines, and we had something coming off that straight line. And we said this angle over here on this side plus the angle on the other side is going to equal 180 because the whole line is 180 degrees. So if there's a line coming off it, I add those two angle measures on either side of that line together and I get 180 because I know from my geometry assumptions and theorems that a line is going to have 180 degrees. Let's talk about complementary and supplementary. And these definitions are one of those things you got to commit to memory. Yeah, commit these to memory. You just have to memorize these. The Regents is going to have guaranteed the words complementary and supplementary on there, and you just kind of have to remember which one is which. Honestly, when I first was introduced to these, it took me a while. I kept getting them confused. You work with them enough, and it becomes pretty second nature, just like a lot of things. You practice enough, and it gets easier. We're just going to practice it a lot. It'll get easier, okay? So, complementary angles. Complementary angles. Two angles are called complementary or complements of one another if their measures add up to 90 degrees. So, complementary is when two angle measures add up to 90 degrees. So, if you can envision that, I have to draw on my face right now. Is that okay if I draw on my face? You be all right with that? I'm going to have like a 90-degree angle here. All right, here's a 90-degree angle. And it's going to be hard to see a little bit because I've got this kind of small. But let's say I got this line coming off here, all right? So now if I take this angle measure here and I add it to this angle measure here, if I add this and this together, if I know the orange is 90 degrees, then this plus this equals the whole. Part plus part equals the whole. I know my camcorder screen is kind of small there, so maybe the diagram looks pretty small in the corner, but I hope that makes sense. These two angles here are complementary. These two angles here are complementary. All right, now I'm going to draw on my face again, and I'm going to do some supplementary. Okay, so I'm going to draw a straight line at the bottom. Woo, there's my not so straight line. And I'm going to draw a line coming off my straight line, like that. And so here's one angle here. Here's a second angle. That was a terrible arc mark. That's because I'm not using my better tools. I'm trying to draw with a mouse, and that never works out well. So I have two angles here. One angle here, one angle here. I know the line has 180 degrees. So these two are going to be supplementary. Supplementary. This angle and this angle are going to be supplementary because the whole line is 180. That means these two are going to add up to 180. These two are supplementary. All right, no more drawing on my own face. Let's look what we got on the page. Exercise 1. Are angles A and D shown below complementary, supplementary, or neither? Support your answers with measurements. So this is where you'll need a protractor. If you don't have one, that's okay, because I have one here, and you can follow along. Just as long as you make sure you get that practice in using this. I want you to have an understanding of how to use a protractor, even though on the Regents you don't use it very often. This is a tool to help us understand how to measure angles, and then that helps us understand like what's going on inside the motor, inside the machine of geometry. And then if we understand what's going on conceptually, we don't need this anymore. This is like the ladder that helps us get to the next step. This is a tool and aid that helps our conceptual understanding to get to the next stage where we want to be. So if you can see what's going on here, I've got an angle measure, and this my protractor is saying that this angle I'm measuring is either 60 or 120. Either 60 or 120, if you can see that. I'm looking at this angle, I'm saying, whoa, that's way over 90 degrees. That's going to be 120. That angle there is going to be 120. It's way over 90 degrees. I interpret my protractor to say, okay, this is an obtuse angle. It's over 90 degrees. The protractor is telling me it's 120. And now I can either turn my page or turn my protractor. I think I'll just turn my protractor if that's all right. That might make it a little harder for you to see. Now I'm lining up my protractor here, and I'm reading my protractor. It says this angle here is either 120 or 60. 120 or 60. I look at this, I say, oh, that's an acute angle. That's an acute angle, so I know it's not 120. It's going to be 60 degrees. Okay? Now the question asks, are angles A and D shown below, are they complementary, supplementary, or neither? Take a guess. Pause the video right here. Write down your guess. It's okay to be wrong. You learn from making mistakes unless you ask yourself the question. You're not opening those filing cabinets in your brain where you're going to need to store this information. So please pause the video, take a guess. It's okay to be wrong. It's just classwork. It's an effort-based grade. Give me some effort. Pause it. All right. Hopefully you're now unpausing it after having taken a guess. So remember, complementary is when two angles add up to be 90. Supplementary is when two angles add up to be 180. We add 120 plus 60, we get 180. So these are supplementary. If you guessed supplementary, congratulations. If you didn't guess supplementary, it's okay. Guess what? Your filing cabinet got opened. You now corrected that information, and you're not going to make that mistake again. You just learned something. Fantastic, you know? Either way you win. Either way you win. You only lose if you don't try. All right? Gotta try. That's what it's all about. Okay. I'm going to cough. I have to pause the video. Pause it. Sorry. Still recovering from that bronchitis. Still coughing up a little bit. Very manageable at this point, though. All right. Exercise 2. Find the measure of angle BAC shown below. Then, using your protractor, construct angle D, which is complementary to angle BAC, and angle E, which is supplementary to BAC. Okay, we got to really slow this down. As I read that out loud, I'm not quite grokking it. Don't quite understand yet. Find the measure of BAC. Okay, there's BAC shown below. Okay, that's easy. Step 1. Find the measure of BAC. We can do that. I have to move my paper around a bit. Put that protractor on there. I'm measuring. You know, where is there it is. I feel like this one, again, it's either 35 or 145. 35 or 145. I have to interpret my protractor to decide which is which. I look at this and I say, oh, that's an acute angle. This must mean the protractor is telling me this is 35. We have to interpret what the protractor is saying, because the protractor is measuring angles from two different directions. Okay, so we found the measure of angle BAC as 35 degrees with our protractor. Step 1 complete. Then we have to use our protractor to construct angle D. So we're going to construct angle D, which is complementary. What's complementary again mean? Complementary, what's it mean? Hopefully you said two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Complementary means two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So we need to create an angle D, which is complementary to BAC. And we have to construct angle E, which is supplementary to BAC. All right, mark the measure of each on the diagram. All right, now I kind of get what's got to go on first. I have to create an angle D. I have to create a point D, which will make this angle and this angle up to 90 degrees. Here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my protractor. And I'm going to say, okay, Mr. Angle, if you were 90 degrees, where would you end up? I put my protractor at 90, where this is going to be my one end of my 90, and that's still my vertex. Where would my other point have to be to make that 90? And it's got to be over here where the protractor says 0 or 180, right? This point right here, if I connect it to A, you see that nice 90-degree angle we just created? There it is. There's the 90. That whole angle measure there is 90 degrees. We're going to call this D. We're going to call that D. So now we have constructed angle D, which is complementary to BAC. So actually, I don't like construct angle D. That's not, I probably should have written that somewhere else. Construct angle CAD, CAD. Because angle D says that there should be something coming off of a point D. But our vertex of BAC is A, so I've got to connect A to another point to make it complementary. Or, I suppose I could construct angle D. I could construct angle D as a separate angle, right? Maybe I should rethink my instructions here. I'm going to construct a independent angle, which is complementary to BAC. I could do that, couldn't I? I could construct an angle D. All right, well, how do I do that? Well, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. All right, they add up to 90 degrees. I put 90 in my calculator. I know that the angle complementary to 35 is going to be 90 minus 35. 90 minus 35 gives me 55. Right? Because 55 plus 35 is 90. 55 plus 35 is 90. See that? So 35 plus 55 is 90. This is complementary to this. So what I would have to do to construct an angle D all by itself, I need to construct an angle that's exactly 55 degrees. Well, I can do that on my protractor pretty easily. I can draw a line. I can put my protractor on the point of that line. I can line everything up. Okay, we seeing that pretty good? And I'm seeing, okay, where is 55 degrees on my protractor? There's 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, 40, 50. Right between 50 and 60 is 55. And I connect the vertex I chose to my 55-degree arc mark. There is 55, and I just call this point D. And now I've constructed angle D, which is 55 degrees, which is complementary to 35, because 35 plus 55 would be 90. All right. So actually, we did it both ways. We did an independent angle, angle D, which is 55 degrees. We also constructed a CAD, an angle CAD off of BAC that gave us also another complement. So I think as I would reread this, I would say if it just says angle D, this instruction does work the way it is. I just have to construct its own independent angle. All right. Give me that lower smiley face reflection in the lower right-hand corner over here. Give me that reflection. Circle the smiley face that reflects how you feel about this right now. Whether you're sad face, confused, smiley face. This is easy, or something in between, where you're like, I need more practice, but you get the basic idea. Isn't too scary. All right. Now, what's our last step? We have to construct angle E, and we're going to do an independent. The way I read this is it's an independent angle. Angle E, which is supplementary to BAC. So supplementary. What does supplementary mean? Pause the video. Take a guess. Okay, hopefully you've unpaused the video now and you took a guess, took a risk. Supplementary means two angles equal 180 degrees. All right, so I need to form an angle, which is going to be, and I'm going to put a little point right. Yeah, I'm going to put the point here. Make this obtuse. I need an angle which is complementary. Oh no, sorry, supplementary here. Supplementary 35. If two angles are supplementary, they add up to 180 degrees. Let me think about that one more time. If two angles are supplementary, they add up to 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is what they'll add up to. I put my calculator. I need something that's supplementary to a 35-degree angle measure, right? I'm going to subtract 35. The remainder is 145 degrees, which means 145 plus 35 gives me 180. Do we see that? So I need to construct a 145-degree angle measure to construct an angle that is supplementary to 35. Here I go. All right, there's 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, 40, 50. I need 145. So there's my 100, there's 110, 130, 140. 145 is right between 140 and 150. There's my new angle point. I line everything up. Everything lines up good, good. This angle here is 145 degrees. And I have to call it angle E, right? If this is point E, then this is angle E. That's 145. 145 plus 35 equals 180. Angle E is supplementary to angle BAC. They add up to 145. Angle D is complementary to BAC because 55 and 35 add up to 90. All right, if you didn't give me that smiley face reflection, give it to me now. I want to see how you feel about what we've done so far. All right, exercise 3 here. I'm going to cough. Hold on. Pausing. All right, exercise 3. In the diagram below, points E, F, and I are collinear. Collinear. We've seen this word twice before. Collinear. We talked about, actually pause the video and see if you remember what this means. Pause the video, open up those drawers in your filing cabinet. Where have you stored this information? All right, you're unpausing the video now. Collinear, we talked about co-workers. Co-workers are the people you work with at the same job, on the same job. Those are your co-workers. Collinear are points that are on the same line. Collinear are points that are on the same line. So E, F, and I are all on the same line. And what do we know about lines? Their angle measure, 180 degrees. All right, so we have one piece of information right there, just from collinear. Name one pair of complementary angles and two pairs of supplementary angles in the diagram. All right, so let's start with our complementary angles. Name one pair of complementary angles. Pause the video here. Name them yourself. Take a risk. You'll do fine. All right, pause it here. All right, you're unpausing the video now because you found one pair of complementary angles, or at least you took a guess at it. I'm looking at two angles that will add up to 90 degrees. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Well, I see this little mark here, that little square edge tells me that this whole thing is 90, which tells me that this plus this equals 90. If this whole thing equals 90, then this plus this equals 90. That means this and this are complementary. So let's talk about that. Angle GFH and with an ampersand sign. I know that throws some of you off. Angle HFI are complementary. So that's how I spell this out. Complementary. Maybe that helps you spell this out too. It's a big word. There's a lot of letters there. C-O-M, ple, P-L-E, ment, M-E-N-T, ary, A-R-Y. Complementary. Mouthful. All right, so now we've got our two angles which are complementary that add up to 90 degrees. Now we need to find two pairs of supplementary angles in this diagram. So two pairs of supplementary angles. Well, I'm looking at this and saying, two angles that will add up to 180 degrees, supplementary. Well, if this whole thing here is 90, that means this whole thing here is 90, which means together they add up to 180. So I could say that angle GFE and angle GFI are supplementary. Yeah, so I sound this one out to spell it too. Supplementary. Supplementary. So this piece and this piece are supplementary. Add them up, they equal 180 degrees. There's another pair of angles here. Pause the video here, see if you can find them. Take a look. You have to puzzle this one out. And the other pair of supplementary angles that add up to 180. Well, okay, now you're unpausing the video here because you found those angles, right? If you look at it long enough, you say, okay, what about EFH and HFI? Angle EFH and angle HFI. All right, you see that? This piece here and this piece here. They will also add up to 180. Very good. All right. So pause the video if you need to copy any of that down. I'm moving on. Exercise 4, it is given that. Remember, given means they're giving us information. They want us to assume certain things are true. Angle A and angle B are complementary. So we're going to assume that angle A and angle B are complementary. That means they add up to they add up to 90 degrees. Complementary. If the measure of angle B is 15 more, we're going to get into algebra. If the measure of angle B is 15 more than twice the measure of A, determine the measure of both angles algebraically. Okay, we got to parse this word problem into an algebraic equation. Are you ready for that? Hopefully you said yes. So, I know that angle A plus angle B is going to be 90 degrees. All right, that much should be pretty good. But then we have to parse this out. Angle B is 15 more than twice the measure of A. So let me call the measure of angle A to be x. I don't know what measure A is. They don't give me any information about what the measure of angle A is. Okay? However, I do know that the measure of angle B is going to be 15 more than twice the measure of A. So what's twice the measure of A? How can I express that algebraically? Twice the measure of A, if A is x, twice the measure of A is going to be 2 times x. That makes sense? twice the measure of A is going to, if A is X, then twice the measure of A is 2X. But it's going to be 15 more than twice the measure of A. So I need to add 15 more. Let's parse this out. The measure of angle B is going to be 15 more than twice the measure of angle A. Okay? Whew, I know that can be a lot for some. It gets easier as you go. You just gotta really, I say things out, honestly, even if I'm alone, I will say that kind of thing out loud to myself, to hear it out loud, to kind of figure out, what is it saying? 15 more than twice the measure of A? Do I know what the measure of A is? I don't. I'm going to give it a variable. Now I know that B is 15 more than twice. Okay, so now I can parse that out into 2x plus 15. And then I write all that on paper. And then let's see how we solve this. We can combine our like terms, right? We can combine a 1x plus a 2x. We can make this be 3x together. 1x plus 2x is 3x. Plus 15 equals 90. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. We can solve that. You know how to solve that. Pause the video here and solve this algebraically. You do have the skills for this. Come on. Give this a shot. Make mistakes. That's where we learn. Take a risk. Pause. Okay. You're unpaused because you solved it, right? First, I'm going to subtract 90 from both. I'm sorry, I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. Subtracting 15 from both sides. That's going to give me, it's going to cancel 15 on this side. It's going to give me 3x on one side. And 90 minus 15, that's going to be 75. You know, I take 1 away from 9, that's an 8. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 1 is 7. So I get 3x. 3x equals 75 over here. So now I have a number. When I multiply it by 3, it gives me 75. Some of you have the math intuition to know what x is right now without having to do any calculations. Once I say that 3 times a number equals 75, some of you will need to take this one step further. That's okay. You're going to divide by 3 on both sides. Divide by 3 on both sides. Put 75 divided by 3 in your calculator. It'll give you 25. Let me show that to you. 3. Long division. I've been showing you guys these long division ones just to remind you that it exists, that you can do this on paper. I recommend using the calculator. This exists. You can do all this on paper. 3 goes into 7 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. I get a remainder of 1. I drop down the 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. I have no remainder. 25 is my answer. Just like I got 25 over here. Again, I've been showing you those long divisions to show you that back in the day people would do this on paper. Some people like it, do it this way. They feel more confident. Gosh, that calculator is such a great tool. It's so fast. Just use it. That's all right. You don't have to do the long division. You don't need to copy the long division if that's what you're doing right now. I show that to you just to show you that it's doable without it. I'll cough. Sorry, I don't know if that, I think that cough maybe have made it onto the video. I pressed pause, but it didn't pause the second I pressed the pause button. Sorry about that. Yeah, why do I show that to you? Some people will, some people don't always have calculators on them. We all have smartphones. I mean, well, no, let me correct that. I don't have a smartphone. Most of you, and not all of you have smartphones, but many of you do, and those all have calculators on them. But sometimes we're in life, we just don't have a electronic device to help us out with the math, so it can be done on paper. All right, exercise 5. It is given that measure of angle BAE is 3x plus 5. Okay, so the measure of this angle BAE is 3x plus 5, and the measure of QRP is equal to 5x minus 25. Okay, I can't envision what this means for me right now, but let me keep going on. If angle BAE, this one right here, and angle QRP, this one over here, are supplementary. What supplementary mean? 180 degrees. Okay, they add up, angles that add up to 180 degrees are supplementary. Determine the value of x algebraically. Now, I don't know about you, but this one is easier for me to set up. It's easier for me than a word problem like this. What they're saying is this plus this are supplementary. I know my definition means supplementary, they add up to 180. So this is going to be 3x plus 5 plus 5x minus 25 equals 180. If these two angles are supplementary, then they add up to be 180 degrees. That's our definition of supplementary. This first step seems to be the step that throws a lot of you off, this combining like terms. We need to get better at combining like terms to solve these algebraically. Pause the video here, see if you can combine the like terms. Just do that step there. Pause the video now. Okay, you're unpaused the video. Hopefully you combined these like terms. Take a shot. It's so important to take a shot. You don't get better if you don't take a shot. If you don't practice, you don't get better. You know, and if you're always if copying just notes, note taking is an excellent skill. I don't want to devalue note taking. Note taking is great for helping you remember things. If it's purely memory that you want to work on, note taking is a fantastic way to help aid your memory, because then you're seeing something, you're hearing something, and then you're writing something. Your brain has done this, used the information 3 times, and that's usually what it takes to like start to put something into long-term storage. But math isn't just about memorization. I don't want you to memorize this problem. What I want you to have ingrained in yourself is a procedure, is a skill. Skills require practice. Playing the piano, learning a language, shooting baskets, these are skills. You can't learn these just by reading about them over and over again or writing the answers down. You have to practice the actual procedure in order to get a feel for the skill. That's why I need you to actually do it independently sometimes and not just note taking. Note taking is good, but it won't give you the skill of what we're doing here. 3x plus 5x, these are like terms because they're both being multiplied by x. I'm going to combine these together to give myself 8x. I'm combining these together to give me 8x. 5 and negative 25, these are just integers. I can add those together. Again, this negative sometimes throws students off. I don't want you to get thrown off. I want you to use your tool. The calculator knows how to do this. Let it do the work. 5 plus negative 25. Negative 20. Some of you, that's pretty obvious. And then for some of you, that seems counterintuitive. If it seems counterintuitive, use the calculator. Use your tools. That's okay. Math intuition, it comes slowly but surely. You know, just like you have an intuition for exactly how to throw a 3-point shot. It's a touchy thing. It's a subtle feel. All right, hopefully we're good at this by now. I'm going to add 20 here to get rid of it because I want to get x by itself. To get x by itself, if I add 20 here, I got to add 20 here. So now I'm going to have to rewrite this equation to get myself some more space. 8x is going to equal 180 plus 20. I can add these up. 8 plus 2 is 10. I put a 0 here. I put the 1 there. 1 plus 1 is 2. 200. 8x equals 200. What am I going to do next? I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides, right? Divide by 8 on both sides. Use your calculator. And 200 divided by 8 gives you 25. X equals 25. So now we did it. This problem is asking us to determine the value of x algebraically. Boom. There's x determined algebraically. We're done. All right. Exercise 6. Callista insists that if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, then they must have the same measure. Is this true? Support your answer with examples. Let's think what Callista is saying. Callista is saying if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, then they must have the same measure. So, I think what Callista is saying is that if two angles, if this angle and this angle are supplementary to the same angle. Oh, no, I'm reading this differently now. Here's what I'm reading. Let me cross this off. I thought two angles supplementary to a third angle, and I was thinking, okay, these two to this one. But no, that's not. I don't think that's what she's saying here. Let me say this is 60. Let me say that this is 60. She's saying that if two angles, if we'll call this angle, A, B, C, and we'll call this D, E, F. She's saying that if this angle, ABC, is complementary to the same angle, so if this angle is complementary to 60 and this angle is complementary to 60, that this will have the same measure as that. What do you think? Pause the video, take a guess. Okay, you've unpaused the video. This is going to be true, right? If this angle is complementary to 60 and this angle is complementary to 60, these angles are complementary to the same angle measure. Therefore, the measure of these two angles are going to have to be both 120, right? They both have to be 120. If these are both supplementary, they have to add up to 180. If they're both supplementary to the same angle, then the angle measures themselves have to be congruent. Kind of like one of those conceptual things. All right, we have one more page, and then we're doing the check for understanding, and then the homework. And the check for understanding is going to be somewhat independent. I might set things up for you. We're moving towards independence on those. In the diagram below, find the measure of each of these angles, and then state which two are complementary pairs. So here I am. I'm measuring. This one here is going to be, well, I'm not finding a really swell number for this angle. Measuring angles is one of those things where you kind of do have to play around sometimes. Like, things aren't exact. But the best I can come up with here is that this is an angle measure of 48. So maybe things did not come out well when I put this together. Sorry. 48 is what my guess is on this angle as I measure it. I usually try to make nice angles that are like 45 or 50 or something. They'll be nice and easy to do. Like this one here is obviously supposed to be 140. And then this one here is 40. All right. So we have 48, 140, and 40. Which one of those do you think are supplementary and which are complementary? You know what I'm thinking? This is not a 50-degree angle, but I think that's what I intended. I think I intended that to be 50. But it's more like, if I actually measure it with a protractor, it's supposed to be 48. Oh, based on the question I'm asking, I'm guessing I just goofed up on the measurement here. Which of these are supplementary? Well, 140 is supplementary to 40, right? 140 plus 40 is 180. They are supplementary. Which two of these are complementary? Well, Mr. Solt goofed up the angle measure on this one. I think I intended this one to be 50 and that one to be 40, and they add up to 90. And everything is nice and friendly, right? Okay. All right, angle D. Angle D. Angle D is supplementary to angle GAF. Justify your answer using measurement and facts about supplementary angles, okay? So, they're saying that this measure here is supplementary to this measure there. What does supplementary mean? It means two angles equal 180 degrees. So, 180 degrees minus 63, give me a remainder of 117. I can know if I know for sure that these two are supplementary, then this has to be 117 degrees. It has to be. That's the only way for 117 117 plus 63. If this one's 63, that has to be 117 because only 117 will add back up with 63 to be 180. I could do it that way. I could find it using my geometry skills, or I can actually measure with a protractor. And do you see this? Well, the Regents will do this all the time. And, not to scale. This is actually looks like it's more like 105 degrees if I actually measure it with my protractor. So I'm going to need to use the math to solve this and not use my protractor because the protractor will not give me the answer that assumes they're both supplementary. So I'm going to justify my answer as 180 minus 63 equals 117. Give me the smiley face reflection in the lower right-hand corner here. Let me know how you're feeling about what we're learning right here. What's your comfort level with it? Is it smiley face comfortable? Is it frowny face uncomfortable and confusing? Is it something in between? And again, I do want you, believe it or not, in this middle category more often than not, because that's where I'm challenging you. That's where we're pushing. That's where we're pushing the edges of our learning. All right, check for understanding. We're at 41 minutes. Man, this video went long. I should have went much faster. I'm so sorry. Cough. Usually these videos, I aim them to be like 30 minutes. This one went way over. If TAP and angle BRE are supplementary, and BRE is its own complement, find the measure of TAP. Okay. So I have these two angles. BRE. Why did I make it the diagram like this right off the bat? Because this was interesting. BRE is its own complement. BRE is its own complement, which kind of suggests to me that BRE is already 90 degrees by itself because it is its own complement. And I'm told that TAP and BRE are supplementary. TAP are supplementary. And why did I draw it like this? Because if BRE and TAP are supplementary, BRE is 90 degrees, and I'm thinking that TAP is 90 degrees. Find the measure of TAP and explain how you arrived at the outcome. Well, I've kind of done this one for you by just setting it up, right? I'll let you answer it, though. I kind of said it out loud, but I'll let you answer it. In the diagram below, it is given, it is known, that FB and EH intersect at A, and EAG is right. EAG is a right angle. All right? Give two different angles that are both supplementary to FAH. So we want two angles that are both supplementary to FAH, and what must be true about these angles. I'm going to leave that to you. Go for that. When you're done with that, give me a reflection. Pause the video here. Complete your check for understanding. I need to see this to know how you're doing. To the homework. Angles BAM, angle CTX are complementary. They'll add up to 90. If angle BAM is 2x plus 4, and angle CTX is x plus 11, then solve for the value of x algebraically. So if this and this are complementary, they add up to 90. 2x plus 4, this BAM, plus CTX, which is x plus 11, is going to equal 90 because it was told it was complementary. I combine my like terms. I get 3x plus 15 equals 90. I minus 15 on both sides, right? Pause the video, see if you can solve it from here. 90 minus 15 is 75. 3x equals 75. I divide by 3, x equals 25. Hopefully you paused the video and you did that yourself. But if you didn't, hopefully you're getting an idea, a good feel for how we're doing things here. Measure of two supplementary angles, angle S and T, are in a ratio of 7 to 3. Find the value of the measure of angle S. So, the measure of two supplementary angles. So I got this and this. They're going to add together to be 180. I see supplementary. They're in a ratio of 7 to 3. So they're supplementary. All right? Supplementary means they're going to be on the same line. That's why I drew this diagram here. I got my line. I got my two angles. I'm going to call this one angle S. Nope. I'm going to call it angle T. I'm going to call this one angle S. All right, just for the sake of ease here. Ratio of 7 to 3. Ratio of 7 to 3. Do you remember how to do these? We did these a little bit in Algebra 1. It's been a while. Pause the video, see if you remember how to do these. Set up an equation with 7 to 3 as a ratio for your equation when two things add up to be 180 degrees. Pause the video, do it. All right, you've unpaused the video, and you're waiting for me to catch up to you because you're already ahead of me. Well, I know that S is going to be 7 times X because the ratio is 7 to 3. I know that T is going to be 3X because the ratio is 7 to 3. So I know this is 7 times an unknown number. This is 3 times an unknown number. And now my ratio between S and T are still 7 and 3. So 7X plus 3X equals 180. That's the equation you should have written when you see the ratio of 7 to 3. I know the two of them add up to be 180. Combining like terms, 7 plus 3 is 10. I can combine these like terms to be 10x. 10x equals 180. X equals 18 after I divide by 10 on both sides. And so we found algebraically what x is, but they want us to find the measure of angle S. Well, x is 18. X is 18 times 7. The measure of angle S is equal to 126. 126 degrees. That's all I've got for you folks. Have a great day.